Hello there, and welcome to the Poppycock podcast, where the topics don't matter and we're not experts. Today, I'm joined by the pitter-pattering of my wife's dog! Hi, Roxy. Would you like to come join?
I assume we're starting over.
Today, I'm joined also by my brother, not in blood, but in the blood we spilled in the streets of Shanghai, Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hello, Joel.
Now, you're the comic expert in this case, but I have access to information that you have not yet consumed.
It's true.
And so I'm going to tell you about the world that Stan Lee created for DC when back in the day Marvel was in financial straits, and so they said, let's cut Stan Lee. He's a big financial, sort of bloat on our finances. And DC said, we'll give you your own universe to make your own Justice League. So I'm going to start reading the characters' names and what makes them different from their normal versions. This is Aquaman, named Raymond, which I hate.
Stan, what happened?
I'm going to describe the image before I show it to you because it is a podcast. He's a man made entirely of water whose face looks like one of the aliens from XCOM.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. His name is Aquaman. He's from Los Angeles, California. His alignment is good. His identity is secret. He's an American single environmentalist. So...
yeah, this is very 90s.
Raymond was a marine biologist and environmentalist working in California, living with his girlfriend, Amelia. During one ocean expedition, he was exposed to a strange glowing green substance and gained the ability to transform himself into living hard water. Immediately forced to use
hard water.
Immediately forced to use these new abilities to protect his girlfriend from pirates.
Oh no.
He began calling himself Aquaman. His brother Frank Raymond, who has a normal person's name, is a member of the LAPD and was shot in the leg and crippled as revenge for the arrests caused by Aquaman when he was... Are you... Roxy. Hey, I'm gonna take your loudest and stinkiest toy and say no. We love you, though. They were shot in revenge for the arrest caused by Aquaman. Deciding that this was a sign of his higher calling, he decided to use his new powers more permanently to become a crime fighter. And his powers, he can transform into water, and he's hydrokinesis. He can swim, and his other ability is listed as science.
Wait, what? His ability is science?
Swimming and science.
My ability is eating.
So, I actually haven't read who their version of Catwoman is, so this will be an adventure for both of us.
Oh, boy.
Joan Jordan.
Joan.
She looks like a vampire, sex worker.
And, yeah, they gave her the boob window from...
Yeah, boob window from Power Girl.
Yeah.
And claws that look like a nightmare. They make a... What was it? Was it X... Who was it? X whatever, the X-Man who had... The lady who had the claws instead of...
Lady Deathstrike.
Lady Deathstrike. I figured she was an X some number. Mm-mm. She's also from Los Angeles. Hal Jordan is her father. I just read that. So Hal Jordan does exist, but he's not Green Lantern, just as a spoiler alert.
No.
I assume but as a fighter pilot, he's still the most, sexually active member of the Justice League.
Probably.
Famous fashion model Joan Jordan was relaxing in her penthouse with her cat, Ebony, when both were struck by a bolt of green lightning. Something about the lightning changed them by killing them. That's not in there. Linking their minds, increasing Ebony's intelligence, and allowing Joan all of a cat's speed, agility, and physical skills. After using her new powers to stop a group of would-be kidnappers, I'm gonna go murder a dog. I'll be right back. Oh my god. How is this? Dog ownership.
I have to say, this one sounds actually somewhat interesting.
After using her new powers to stop a group of would-be kidnappers, Joan designed a costume and set out to become one of the emerging wave of superpowered crime fighters, appearing across the country, calling herself Catwoman. Her powers are feline physiology, enhanced senses, enhanced vision, which I thought was itself a sense, claws, enhanced strength, enhanced speed, enhanced leaping, psychic link. She's linked to her cat Ebony due to the green lightning bolt she was struck with, and she can hear Ebony's thoughts, and they can communicate on a deeper level. Abilities, sewing. I'm beginning to think these abilities are just sort of throwaway.
Yeah. But that one sounds somewhat interesting.
This one has trivia. Joni, which is her nickname, wears a black wig with a small cat ears in her Catwoman alias. She also designed and sewed her own costume with the skills she gained from modeling. So that makes sense. She's hiding her actual hair color.
Yeah.
That makes some sense. But the fact that she was like, people took pictures of me, so I learned to sew. So this is going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to tell you who this is. I'm just going to read their story to you first.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'll start. This is a real roller coaster, actually. So this guy's name is Robin. Try to guess where it's going. The image I'm just going to describe to you right now looks like an angry teenager dressed in a full body set of like workout sweats with a bandana.
Oh my gosh.
And a rope.
It looks like what's that old Nintendo game? I can't remember what it's
Mario.
called. One of the less famous ones. There was one where you're ninjas. I can't remember the name of it, but it looks like one of those.
Robin was left on the doorstep of an orphanage not long after his birth, and then was raised there. He was given the name Robin on account of the robin that perched on his cradle when he was a baby, which is hokey, but whatever. As he grew up, everyone else in the orphanage there with him got adopted, while he was just left there growing older. We've all been there. He's always different from the other children, and always stayed by himself. When he was in his teen years, a girl named Beth came to help at the orphanage. Oh. He developed a love for her, but could not even gather the nerve to say goodbye to her. What a joke. Then, there was a day when a man came from the Church of Internal Empowerment. I think I went there. He came to the orphanage giving the children gifts. Robin refused the gift and left the orphanage, because gifts are for losers. The man noticed Robin's difference from the other children, because that's all it took, and went on to learn more about him, and inform Reverend Dark that what he had learned. After a short-lived job at a martial arts academy, Robin found a notice from Reverend Dark on a billboard saying, "Orphans! Let Reverend Dark help you find your parents." It's in all caps, so I assumed it was yelled. Robin went to the church and met Reverend Dark, who empowered him and controlled his mind so he could not disobey him. After a life of crime, Robin had a fight with Batman, who convinced him that Reverend Dark was just trying to get him to do his dirty work. Robin then ran into the night, not seen again until the coming of Crisis, who is a person in this version. When Crisis arrived, Robin joined the Justice League, but he was secretly still working for Dark. Ooh, twists. Robin betrayed the Justice League and dropped the Hawk rune, becoming Hawkman. And then, after a battle, was turned into the Atom by Idrisil, the Tree of Life. Atom destroyed Crisis and then joined the Justice League, saying that he is power. He is power, that's the sentence, and would have destroyed them if they were rude to him. But because they viewed him as one of them, he would join the Justice League. This was written very poorly, apparently. But he is Robin and Hawkman and the Atom.
Oh my gosh.
That's a little much. Yeah. Here comes Batman for you. His name, Wayne Williams, from the Just Imagine universe. He's also in Los Angeles, seems to be a thing. Wayne Williams' father was a policeman who was shot and killed. He was framed for a crime he didn't commit, and vowed revenge on Hand, spelled Handz, the gang leader who set him up. In prison, so I guess they changed. So Batman, pre-Batman, was framed by Hands. In prison, he befriends a scientist who's there for some reason, named Frederick Grant, who teaches him how to develop his mind, as well as sewing and bodybuilding. Okay, Stan Lee needs to get over the fact that they sewed. You don't have to learn sewing to do...
It's like he got a lot of complaints where everyone's like, where did the superhero costumes come from?
I always cover my butt. They all learned how to sew. In prison, from scientists!
Because if you're a scientist, you're also an expert.
We have to sew our own lab coats. We all know that.
Listen, money was tight.
While incarcerated, Williams learns his mother is dead. Okay, and blames hands. Could have just been she's old. After rescuing the warden, he was given a full pardon, because that's legal. On the outside, Williams feared hands killing him, so to keep a low profile, he shaves his head. Okay.
Okay.
Still probably going to look the same. Williams needs money, so he becomes a wrestler under the name Batman, and makes sure to never unmask in public. Be kind of cooler if he had a luchador look, but he doesn't. In a few short weeks, Batman has become a big name in wrestling. He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. In weeks? Whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm getting mad at the wrong things. Wayne Williams finds Grant and entrusts him with his secret. Wayne Williams has the money, skill, and strength to fight hands, but Frederick Grant has the know-how, so the two become partners. To keep a low profile, Wayne gives Frederick a mansion and acts as his bodyguard. Well, that's kind of clever. Batman eventually tracks down and attacks Hands, who accidentally falls to his death in the conflict. No longer seeking vengeance, Batman begins a mission of justice to fight crime and protect the innocent from villains like Hands. I'm just really mad at that name.
It sounds like Stan Lee trying to interpret 90s culture.
Oh, wait, I didn't read if he had any, abilities. Probably sewing. Let me check.
No, that
powers and abilities is sewing.
Oh
I'm not joking.
Gosh.
His only power and ability is sewing.
So if you can sew, you're a superhero.
Now, the Flash, I did read the background on it. It's going to be dumb. Mary Maxwell, who looks like someone dressed like Storm Shadow the Ninja, but with a rainbow flag coming out in strips across from the back of her dome. She is the Flash.
She almost looks like the Wraith.
A little bit. So her history is much shorter. Inadvertently stuck with a syringe full of hummingbird DNA. Sure. Mary Maxwell finally got her dream when she developed superpowers in the form of incredible speed. She later helped form the Justice League and battle the Doom Patrol, who in this version are bad people. Her powers are superhuman speed and the speed of light. By traveling forward faster than the speed of light, she can catch up to herself before she's even begun running. Although she never uses this ability, offensively. She never uses it, but we're sure she has it. She has used it to negate time travel effects of agents. Oh, that's kind of cool. Like a time travel agent would know about her, so she stops herself from making the choice that the time travel agent wouldn't.
Yeah.
Abilities, sewing. Weaknesses, poor stamina. So she's not even a good runner. Trivia. Oh, here's some good trivia. Connected to her abilities of sewing, she designed, sewed, and bought all of her costume pieces by herself. Stan Lee's really worried about where they got...
He's like, I promise I will explain how they got these costumes.
Alright, here's Green Lantern, known as Leonard Lewis, who looks like a man covered head to toe in green body paint, totally naked with a glowing...
Almost like Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, like a green Dr. Manhattan, but with a dopier face. I remember reading this a little bit. It's basically if Ross from Friends became a superhero.
Wait, so does this mean this guy won't be able to sew?
We'll find out, because he doesn't have to sew it, so maybe he's the only one without that power. He really gets made fun of at the Hall of Justice. You can't even sew? What kind of hero are you?
I can just imagine them all at their sewing machines.
We're gonna make some shirts for the homeless. Can you help, Green Lantern?
Oh wait, no you can't, because you suck.
In this version, Aquaman's cool because he can sew. Given powers by the Tree of Life Idrisil, Professor Lynn Lewis becomes the Green Lantern, a powerful elemental champion of mankind. Professor Lewis is handsome, successful, and an instructor at Los Angeles University, teaching archaeology, because that's not lame. Deciding that he should take his own studies abroad, he ventures to Africa in search of the Tree of Life. When he arrives at the airport, he finds that one of his students, Kathy Warren, has decided to come with him, both because she is enamored by him, obviously, and because she is tasked to do so by Reverend Dark, double agent. Mm-hmm. The two find themselves in Central Africa near the Congo when they arrive at a dig site abandoned by Crag Kroger, who is Dark's failed lackey. Long story short, he kidnaps him, his powers run out, he takes a power nap, he gets his powers back, and he fights them. And he's like, now I know I need time to recharge like everyone else does, but my extent is that I can walk around naked and glowy. So his powers, he has divine empowerment from the mystical tree of Idrisil, telekinesis, geokinesis, aerokinesis, flight, superhuman strength, superhuman durability, abilities, archaeology, already different, pedagogy.
I don't even know this. I don't even know how to say that.
I feel like it's gonna get better. Weaknesses, power limitation. After only a few hours of use of his powers, he's useless.
So he's a human battery.
Yeah, so he's only good for a few hours. So all you have to do is, like, all right, armies, keep fighting. Once it, like, 3 hours from now,
Just
they're
stall.
going to lose one of their members.
So basically, the Justice League stories, it's, okay, we just gotta stall till Green Lantern can charge back up.
I remember, so I heard a little bit about this version of Superman. It's actually kind of rad.
Really?
His name's Salden. And he looks sort of like if, like, Captain America was dressed up as a superhero with a cape.
Yeah, he's got the
red
Nick
and black.
Fury gray hair.
Yeah.
But can he sew?
I am curious. Salden was a lawbringer on his home planet, notable for refusing genetic enhancements in favor of stopping crime with his pure brawn. His wife, Layla, was murdered by an escaped convict, Gundur Gorok.
Gundur Gorok.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Stan Lee sucks at coming up with names. I think it's like, Peter Parker has the same 2 first letters. That's the secret, and he sold his costume. Excelsior!
How is this guy... Stanley, what happened?
A criminal with a grudge Salden had arrested years earlier. Following the killer to Earth on a hijacked spaceship, Salden discovered that he had incredible powers due to the planet's lower gravity, which I will say makes more sense than Sun.
Yeah.
So, credit where it's due. He's like, if Dwayne Johnson went to a planet with less gravity, he's like, I'm a god!
Yeah, right.
Determined that he needed to take revenge and then return home to honor his wife's memory, he believed that stopping crime and working towards world peace would allow Earth to focus its efforts on a better space program and help him get home. His talents were discovered by an agent, Lois Lane, who became his manager and publicist. She gave him the name Superman, and he adopted the alias Clark Kent as a human name. Gorok was aided in seeking his revenge by Reverend Dark of the Church of the Eternal Empowerment. Again, they have a great college. They threatened world war by kidnapping a Chinese dignitary and framing the United States government, although Superman was able to stop them and avert the crisis, thereby gaining public recognition and respect.
Yeah, you're right. This one would be the one I would want to read.
This is cooler. Notes, while Stan Lee never revealed his homeworld, Grant Morrison stated on the guidebook that his homeworld was named Krypton. So
Grant Morrison is like the keeper of the multiverse in DC.
That makes sense. I have not read Wonder Woman, so this will be a new experience.
Ooh.
The rest of them I have not. Maria Mendoza from Just Mind. She's hot. Although it looks like she has a tree coming out of her butt there. I don't know if that's because she chopped something.
No, I think that's just her, like...
My superpower. I can grow twigs from my butt cheeks very slowly.
Nothing can stand against me.
Maria Mendoza is Wonder Woman. Daughter of a local judge in Peru, Maria works as an activist protesting against the ruthless excavation of an ancient holy site in Cusco.
Yeah.
Emperor's New Groove, I like it. The man in charge of the endeavor was Armando Gutez. It's not Gutierrez, it's Gutez.
Yeah, I guess Gutez.
A man who sought the power of the ruins within the site to gain enough strength to rule the world. When Maria's father is killed by Gutez, she sneaks onto the site to get revenge. However, she stumbles upon 2 runes. They allow her to grow sticks from her butt cheeks. Armando arrives and shattered the dark rune, gaining the mystical powers of dark spirits. The second rune, one of light spirits, was shattered by Maria, and she was whisked away by the sun god of the Incan people. Attempting to save the life of Steve Trevor, the man who had saved her from Armando himself, Maria was given the golden staff and imbued with incredible powers. Chasing Armando to Los Angeles.
Los Angeles appears a lot in
I think
stories.
it's their New York.
Yeah.
Maria saved a handsome reporter from certain death, which earned her privilege. The privilege of being the first place to be destroyed when Armando would rule the world. The two battled in the streets of LA until the newly christened Wonder Woman takes to the skies and impales the monstrous Armando on a church spire.
Wow.
And eradicates the malicious spirits. Okay, that makes more sense, because he needed Jesus. He's
It's
like, the Incans are not enough! I need Jesus!
I just imagine her smashing him on the cross and just metal music starts...
There's just people there, we're trying to have a potluck. Returning to her normal identity, Maria assumes life as a new resident of LA with a job at a local newspaper company under the direction of a man she had saved while fighting her worst enemy. Her powers, multilingualism. She speaks Spanish and English. And then weapons, she has the Golden Staff with Divine Empowerment, Flight, Superhuman Speed, Superhuman Strength, Telekinesis, and Transformation.
Oh, she can't sew.
She cannot sew. So that's going to be embarrassing.
I feel like some of these skills, like science and
finally Shazam.
Bilingual, aren't abilities.
Those are things you can just attain.
Yeah, you can just learn.
So this is Robert Rogers.
What?
Robert Rogers was a mild-mannered, I hate that use in comic books,
Mild-mannered.
Interpol agent. Yeah, you're allowed to be mild and mannered as an Interpol agent.
Yeah, that's like the very nice and graceful IRS guy.
I'm the mild-mannered Marine who saved the president from the Viet Cong. I crawled through human entrails, but, I'm really shy around girls.
Yeah, but oh, golly gee.
He was assigned with a tough agent, Carla Norrell, to travel to India in search of a megalomaniac master criminal, Gunga Khan. I feel like it's racist. I don't know who it's racist towards, but it feels bad. During Robert's search, he came upon a dying fakir. I'm not swearing. It's spelled Fakir.
Yeah.
So, there's the only other way I can say that is going to sound more offensive. Unbeknownst to him, was given the power to transform into a big, hairy, red-fanged creature with a necklace of bones. Which is when he transforms, that's what he looks like. Kind of like a man constipated, a constipated, ugly face strapped to the body of, like, a porn star with devil wings.
I just love how much space there is between his nose and his mouth.
It's like old Hulk drawings.
Yeah.
Where his bottom lip is half the size of his head. So his power is transformation. He says Shazam, and he turns into a monster, which is cooler than turning into Zachary Levi. I mean, Zachary Levi's cool, but if I could be a monster, I'd be a cooler superhero. Flight, superhuman durability, and superhuman strength. He also cannot sew, so he's a real loser. But yeah. So, yeah, that's their Justice. That's Stan Lee's Justice League.
That's wild. Again, it sounds almost like he was trying to do 90s things.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a hodgepodge of like whodunit 90s ideas and like the dumb parts of a Marvel superhero. He's like, all right, I won't take any of the cool stuff, but can I take the gimmicks? And like,
yeah,
what, like sewing? Like, yeah, I'll take sewing.
Yeah, well, and it just, I think, also kind of highlights just how different the Marvel and DC characters are. Where it's like, you can have some of the
like the goofier something.
Yeah.
I feel like Marvel gets away with goofier characteristics. Mm-hmm. Whereas in DC, they're like, so, who maimed your parents and, like, crippled you and your best friend? And they're like, oh, probably the Joker.
Right, exactly. There's not that many
just like
types
DC's
of stories.
Recent uptick in, like, huge acclaim has been like, what if we just killed everyone and made you sad? And, like, welcome to Deceased.
Exactly.
Which is a really clever play on words, I'll admit.
Yeah, no. Well, Tom Taylor is amazing.
Yeah. So, is he the artist or the writer?
He's the writer.
Okay. I see his name pop up, and I'm like, oh, I like his stuff.
If you ever read anything else, he's known for Elseworld stuff. He did the Injustice comic.
Yeah.
That was just as good, if not better, than the video game. He did 5 years worth.
You really see how Wonder Woman kind of was always pushing Superman to become basically like a dictator. Everyone says Hitler just because he's the most famous bad dictator, but let's not give him credit. He's just a dictator.
Yeah. Well, and in this comic, one of the things I love about it, too, is you actually...
it's beautiful. It's really well done.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. Tom Taylor knows how to write these characters, which is awesome. But I think one of the things that I love the most is how he does a really good job of showing how Superman could turn into a dictator. Like,
yeah, it's believable. Instead of just like, what if Superman was bad, it shows why he would become that way.
And he writes Harley Quinn in this amazingly well, too.
It's really hard. I feel like after Injustice, and then especially with Suicide Squad, comics for a while were like, what if Harley Quinn was Deadpool and she broke the fourth wall and she could outfight Batman and Wonder Woman, and she's the best person ever, and she's like a quirky character because like, we want to arrest you, but we sure do like you,
and we also want to market you to teens, and we can't have you murdering people.
Girls like you because it's female empowerment, guys like you because you're in a crop top, you're marketable, and it's creepy enough with the clown makeup that it's going to awaken something in someone. They're going to go to the circus and be like, why do I like this so much?
Yeah.
Although, you know who doesn't like the circus? Dick Grayson.
Oh.
Although now
Well,
Haley's
and he
circus,
dies in this, so.
which is pretty sad.
And yeah, it's cool how they actually do it, but one of my favorite.
Black Adam's pretty cool in that comic.
Yeah. One of my favorite issues, though, is when Harley Quinn captures Lobo and psychoanalyzes him. She uses, like, because Tom Taylor remembers, oh, hey,
She's a
psych-
trained PhD.
psychiatrist, yeah. And it's hysterical, like, and this comic is surprisingly funny, too.
Does this one hold where they fight, like, the Greek pantheon? Or is that,
I think that's later, because this is just, all I have is year one, but, yeah, there's literally just one part where, because he gets sent by Superman, and, of course, as you know in the games, they have pills that you can take to get the strength of and
it
powers
makes you
of, like,
durable
Superman.
enough to
She
stand
takes one of
toe-to-toe.
those to capture him. She has him strapped down when he wakes up, and, where is it?
Oh yeah, did she like show up on his bike or something at one point? And like Green Arrow's like, "Where'd you get that bike?"
Yeah.
I remember seeing that comic.
And he also, there's one point where I think it's in this one where she goes, "We're going to talk about your feelings," and he's just like, "No!" But she basically just sits him down and psychoanalyzes him, and he's like, "Thanks." And the comic ends with him going to Darkseid and putting out his cigar on Darkseid's forehead, and then goes, "Let's dance."
Well, whatever he said, or whatever she said, worked.
Yeah, basically she's just like, "So you feel inadequate, and so you're like trying to take out the biggest player." And she's like, I know how you feel.
It'd be funny if at the end he just like had a sweater vest and glasses. He's like, "I'm really gonna get my life together. I'm gonna go into accounting."
He's like that dumb jock you met in high school that like grows up to be like a really successful like doctor or something.
I don't have to hide that I like watching HGTV. It's acceptable.
Exactly. But another line that they did was called the Earth One series. They did 3 volumes of Superman.
I think I've only read the first volume of this.
I have all
one.
3 volumes of Superman. The first 2 volumes of Batman Earth 1. This third one's coming out this year. I've also read Earth 1 Teen Titans and Earth 1 Wonder Woman.
Which one ends with the Penguin discovering who Batman is?
That's Batman. That's Batman Earth 1. But then
is that how far into that? Is that like?
that's the end of the volume. But then he gets his head blown off by Alfred.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it happens to the best of us.
But basically, this is like the ultimate equivalent of DC, where it's like, what if we had no continuity? You can look through it if you want.
Oh, I've read the whole first volume.
Oh, okay.
I have to read the next volume now. See, that's the problem. I lay in bed now and I'm like, I'll go to sleep soon.
The third volume of Superman could basically have been Man of Steel done a little bit better. Yeah, because it has Zod
I'm
in
gonna
it.
have to read it.
It has Zod in it.
What's their
It has
Zod
Lex
like?
Luthor.
Because there are some great Zods and there's some okay Zods.
Without much spoilers, you find out that Zod has a personal connection to Krypton blowing up.
Huh.
As well as a personal connection to Superman.
I'm always interested in like the different versions because I know that there's the one, I think it was the animated feature called like Gods and Monsters, where it was Man-Bat was Batman, and Zod was Superman's genetic father, and that one, and Wonder Woman was a new god, not an Amazonian,
Right.
And then also there's like the different versions, like Krypton blows up because of Brainiac or because of like their version of global warming, or they mined too deeply, or their sun died out, or science went too far, or Zod destroyed it, or in some versions it's not actually destroyed and they're just like, no, your dad was a whack job and he just like sent you home.
Right.
And because he was like, it's gonna end, and then it just didn't. So there's a whole world of us and we're all super ripped and like beautiful people.
Right. Well, in this one, another thing that they do is they establish that Superman is also ultra smart.
I like that.
Which is different, where it's like, it's not...
Because he has a supercomputer for a brain, essentially.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
can think insanely quickly.
Well, and it's cool because it really delves into why he decides to become a journalist and a superhero.
I like the journalist element. You never really get to see that.
Yeah.
In the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman, he straight up has a fully journalistic subplot where he's like, wow, Batman has made Gotham just like a crap hole. Where poverty is a huge deal. And I think he's Bruce Wayne. He could fix this really easily.
Exactly. And they give... and the 3 volumes basically read out like a movie trilogy. Where like they build and reference each other. Till when you get to the third one is like the culmination of this 3-act story you've been reading. And Lex Luthor is really cool. And again, they give him another reason to have another personal reason for his relationship
Lex
with
Luthor is
Superman.
probably my favorite comic book villain of all time.
Yeah, they do a really cool version.
The version
of him.
from Red Sun was probably what first... That and Superman All-Star were the two Lex Luthors where I was like, wow.
All-Star Superman's really
All-Star
good.
Superman is the reason I liked Superman. I thought he sucked, probably because I grew up watching Smallville with a girlfriend who was like, why aren't you shaped like a CW star? It's like, because he's not really in high school, and he has a personal trainer.
He's like, I'm 25 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't. Also, he's a comic book character. I'm never going to have powers. So I always got it really shaped. I was like, Superman sucks! Ah! And then I read that comic like 2 years after I broke up with her, and I was like, oh, hey, Superman is cool. I just dated a horrible person.
Yeah. Well, and I think, and this was written by J. Michael Straczynski, who...
I know that name.
He's done Thor. He actually was involved with the first Thor movie.
Okay.
He's the guy that first finds Thor's hammer and tries to pick it up in that movie.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
the one that's like, huh. And that's him. But, so he did Spider-Man in the early 2000s, which was really good.
Okay, so I've read his work then.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man is like every kid's, like, bread and butter.
Exactly. So he did that, and it's really, really good. But yeah, it does a really good job of showing you why Superman's awesome, and it actually does some twists with, like, especially with, like, his relationship with Lois Lane that I enjoy.
See, now, when my wife asks me why small increments of $5 and $12 has disappeared from my account, I'm gonna have to be like, well, I was done reading with this comic book, because I always almost wait for like an arc to come out as like a graphic novel, so I can just in one bingeable moment consume the whole story, and not wait a month to try and figure out what happens.
Exactly.
That kills me. But here I
It's
am,
hard sometimes.
involved with the new Suicide Squad comic, waiting, with Deceased, waiting for their next version of that. So at least now I'll be able to go in and read volumes at a time. Although, The White Knight is one that
Yes.
I've heard bits about, but I have not personally read through all of it.
This is probably one of my favorite. Was my favorite comic.
I just
book
remember
of
the
last
premise
year.
for like the early, like for the first volume of it.
So basically, the
Like
premise,
Batman was like really destructive and kind of the bad guy. It looked like.
Yeah, this is obviously its own universe, its own self-contained story. Basically, it's almost like what if we really examined Batman's actions under a microscope and the
like-
actual like ethical and moral dilemmas that come with
They
that.
show him like driving over the tops of rooftops, like in Nolan's movies, but people are like, it's destroying
Yeah.
houses, and he's almost
I mean,
hitting people with his car.
One of the
He's, like,
biggest
really
thing
angry.
that like pushes him over the edge is when he basically shoves a bunch of pills down Joker's throat.
Yeah, and is that what
And then
cures
that's what
him?
cures him, yeah, because basically you find out there's a cure that's been developed for mental psychosis.
And he just choked him on it.
Yeah, and so and Joker becomes sane, and it's cool because it kind of examines the Joker. It's like, well, if you take away the madness, it's like, oh, Joker's actually a really smart person. Like, basically, he gets himself freed. He runs for the city council.
I remember saying that he was like, I've read all these books. I think we have a legal precedence to basically like, charge Batman with ruining Gotham or something like that.
And Harley Quinn in this is really good as well. I
remember
really
like
her.
him being like, he was really sad. He was like, sorry, Harley Quinn, I want to be a good guy. She's like, no, I want to be trailer trash. And it's like, oh yeah, this is a second Harley. You were so self-obsessed. I hired a new Harley to take my place, and you never even noticed because you're a narcissist who's in love with torturing Batman.
Yeah, and it's really cool because that's almost like almost like the author Sean Gordon Murphy's kind of statement on how he feels about modern Harley versus classic Harley.
I agree. Classic Harley, I have... Okay, well, like, I like Injustice Harley, who does still kind of dress and act kind of crazy, but it still always felt like, you know, she wasn't out there just dressing like a weird skank clown, which sounds terrifying on paper.
And it's cool. There's a lot of cool references to, like, the movies and stuff, like the Bat Tumbler makes an appearance
it
from
looks...
Nolan's movies.
It's got a really cool Batmobile design, and Batman looks great. Like, the art in it is fantastic. And
it's drawn by the author.
It's got sexy Harley Quinn.
Yeah. I mean,
doesn't she get like knocked up at some point?
That's in the second book that just came out. I'm waiting for that trade. I haven't read it yet, but this is one of the best Batman stories you will ever read.
I just saw her like interrogating someone, and then she stands up, and you're like, "Whoa, there's a bump."
Yeah. No, this I can't recommend this enough. Mr. Freeze is in it. He's really good.
I really like when they give a really talented artist, and I mean, in this case, the same person, artist and writer, a chance to be like, I have this version of something I want to tell. They're like, all right, tell it to the fullest extent. We're not going to intervene because it's not our main continuity.
They're giving him a whole comic line now, the Murphyverse, where it's like he's going to shepherd it, and like other people will come in, but basically like you can tell all the stories you want,
and they all just exist in that continuity. Yeah, like it's like a weirder, or not weirder, but just different.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool too because like you even find out there's like a slush fund basically by the city for all to basically repair the damage for all of Batman, all the damage that Batman causes his battles, and Bruce like finds out that like his rich friends that he doesn't really like are like making bank off of basically Batman's destruction, and he's like, "Gah! What the heck? This is ridiculous.
This is why I don't go to your parties anymore. Go put on your black latex suit, Bruce. We know you have a fetish. It's not a fetish. I just can't explain it."
Yeah. Oh, there's a really funny moment with that where, I mean, it's really, I just can't recommend this book enough if you haven't read it.
I know that at some point Azrael is involved, so
Yeah, that's the second one.
I'm going to have to pick this up and read it. I just remember someone mentioning Joker sex. Batman breaks a lot of things, maybe is the bad guy from one perspective, and I was like, I don't know, but now having seen more about it, I'm like, well...
And I think he does a good job of balancing the whole judging Batman from a realistic and ethical perspective without making you hate Batman. At the end, it's like, oh yeah, like Batman does a lot of crazy stuff, but it doesn't do it in a way that just ruins Batman for you, where you can't read any other Batman story. That's like the worst thing,
where they're like, hey, in real life, your character that you like so much, Peter Pan, he's kidnapping children, he'd be locked up. I'm like, stop ruining it. You can do a more realistic version without crapping on someone's, like, something they just enjoy escaping into.
Yeah, and it does have some political stuff where, like, it has, like, some news pundits, and it's, like, talking about social issues, but again, it's not in a preachy way, and it fits within the narrative.
Is Batman Bruce Wayne? That's fake news.
I mean, you have someone refer to Joker, I think at some point, like an SJW or something, but again, it's done in a way that's not judgmental. Well, I thought
the White Knight was interesting because it, at least the way I've always heard White Knighting used, it was someone trying to look like they're here to like protect you, but they're just kind of a selfish dick. So I assumed that could either mean that, or it could literally mean that either Batman or Joker is saving everyone, or it could mean that the Joker, who is a very pale person, is now doing something like specifically. So it could go in a bunch of different directions, and I'm sure once I read it, I'll be like, oh, that's why.
Another one that I recommend that I didn't bring along with me.
Is Bane involved in that one?
Bane is in there.
I'm a big fan of Bane.
He's not in there much, but he does make a few appearances. Okay. I mean, they have...
Bane is like my second favorite. I mean, his voice is very funny.
Yeah, they have all the villains in at one point. I just need to find... Where's the... Oh, see, there's Bane.
Oh, that's a great design.
Yeah, and that's Clayface.
It's kind of creepy. It almost looks like the animated series.
Yeah,
but also
you can tell that he has reference for the animated series because you even have like Baby Doll.
Ugh, creepy.
From the animated series.
Two-Face looks great too.
Yeah,
this art is a really great design.
Yeah, I like it. It has almost like a steampunk look to stuff, which is really cool. And I mean, it fits well for Batman.
I know that at some point, I guess it's the second volume, they discuss like the founding of Gotham and like the origins of the Waynes and what their empire is built off of, and it's cool. And I think now when people are looking at rich people and seeing how they got there, it is like a question that now people actually are kind of curious about. Like, you're really rich. I've never asked why. Yeah, it's like, oh, we sold pillows for centuries and we became the richest pillow kings in the world. Oh, that's weird. Because, like, now you own a casino and a brothel, and that's a different direction.
Right. But, again, it does it in a way that doesn't, like, ruin Batman for you, which is nice. Another one I recommend is Harleen by Stefan Sajic, and he also draws it.
That guy's a great artist.
It's great. It's basically the cartoon story Mad Love from the animated series, but basically done adult, and really dives into why Harley would fall for the Joker.
I saw a cover for that, I think, where it was her... as, like, one version of herself, and then on the other side it was her, like, she was, like, happy, and the other one she was, like, beaten up as, like, Harley Quinn or vice versa. It was sometimes
yeah, that's how the hardcover is, where you take off the sleeve, and it shows her regular Harley Quinn face, and you put it on, and it's the actual, like, costume. It's really cool.
That's a cool design.
But I highly recommend that one, just as a side note. Now, as far as Marvel goes, they don't have a lot of Elseworlds books. A lot of their stuff ends up in continuity. One of the few main ones is Old Man Logan, which is amazing. It's by Mark Miller and drawn by Steve
That one I remember
McNiven.
reading. It is very dark.
It is very dark.
Like, the inbred Hulk family is a weird choice.
That was the weirdest part of this, but besides that...
They eat people.
Yeah.
It was a weird... I can understand they're like, well, there's not a lot of Hulks. What if they just inbred?
Old Man Hawkeye, though, is
very
freaking
cool.
awesome.
I think, didn't he get his own story at some point?
They did do his own story, and
that could either suck or it could be awesome.
Yeah, and they even brought Old Man... I didn't read it, but I heard it was pretty good. They even brought Old Man Logan into the main continuity for a bit.
Yeah, I remember that after main Wolverine died for a while. And
quote unquote.
At least they actually kept him dead for a couple of years.
Yeah.
It was a nice change of pace that it took more than like a year to come back.
Right. Well...
I don't know. And they brought him back with like an extra superpower, which was a nice... I think when you come back, you should be different.
Right.
Because you did die. That would be kind of... Like, I'm different after I buy a new car. Mm-hmm. Which is not as big as dying. Or when if I get a haircut...
that we know of.
Well, when I get a haircut or something, I'm like, I feel kind of nice now. Maybe I'll feel a little sassier. Like, I feel like if I died, I'd be like, I don't want to do that again.
Right. Well, and that was also during the whole time where Fox and Disney were at their maximum hate for each other, so Marvel was like, no, X-Men!
Didn't the Punisher kill the cast, like, not the characters, but the actors playing in the Fantastic Four
I believe so, yeah.
Point?
Like, at one point in one of the comics,
they were like, this script is garbage. Hey, what's taking Michael so long? And then they just blow up. And you're like, oh, so I guess they're not happy about that movie.
They're like, by the way, we hate this movie.
And I just remember being like, that was really petty, but very clever.
And
but
then,
very petty.
Yeah. Oh, and we'll get into that in the next episode for sure, because that one I've got some interesting stuff.
I guess we'll real quick cover the Ultimate Spider-Man, and then our next episode is going to cover an X-Men super mutant orgy, so it's worth tuning into. We may voice act it, probably not.
No, I think we would get banned from YouTube and wherever.
Well, you go put Jell-O in a toilet and use a plunger on it and let their minds figure out what they're hearing. I saw Mortal Kombat. They were like, this is how we made the sounds for the fatalities. And now I can't unimagine a man getting paid to make Jell-O in a toilet. Which would be the grossest Jell-O, aside from the green Jell-O, which is already gross.
And I can already imagine the sound, which is making me just gross out even more.
It makes Mortal Kombat almost more gross knowing that it's coming from a toilet.
Toilet
Fatality. Ew, poop was there.
Yeah, no.
Countless butts.
But obviously you can't mention Marvel's Elseworlds without
the Ultimate
Universe, which...
So edgy, but so good.
Ultimate Spider-Man, for me, is probably my favorite version of Spider-Man. It's I read as a kid.
The video games and the comics.
Yeah, the comics are amazing. If you have not read it, again, you can... And I have the first, 100 issues, and it's just... It could be it's like a TV show,
They should. Honestly, they should. Instead of making really weird, The more recent Spider-Man shows since, Spectacular, really haven't been very good. No. They just remade, basically, plot for plot, almost, the Ultimate Universe. They'd get so many of their old-school fans watching that.
Honestly, the only reason I don't see them doing that is because they don't want to have to pay Bendis.
That's fair.
Especially now that he's working for DC, I don't think they want to hand him that paycheck.
They definitely don't.
They're already having to hand him a huge paycheck for Into the Spider-Verse with Miles.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
He's
Miles was a great addition, though.
Oh, yeah, and Miles Morales is good. His origin in the comics is different from the origin in the movie.
I don't remember his origin.
So
I remember him showing up and then Peter being like, I'm alive again, let's not talk about it. And then he was like,
that's when the Ultimate Universe got crappy.
Yeah, they were like, Nick Fury gave you a cooler suit than me? That's not fair.
Yeah,
I liked that. I was like, that's a petty thing, I would say.
And they also had a crossover where main universe Peter meets Miles, and it's really good. It's written by Bendis. But
he's good.
In the Ultimate Comics for Miles Morales, his origin is basically his uncle is the Prowler in that universe. He steals one of the spiders that bites Peter. Early on, they flash back and has it in his apartment. I can't remember who his buyer was. I can't remember that part. But basically, when Miles goes to visit him, it bites him, and Miles in that universe is in 6th or 7th grade.
Whoa!
And when he meets, and he goes to the charter school and everything.
Would Peter be in high school or college?
Yeah, Peter is still high school, and he's seeing Spider-Man on TV, and he's actually there when Ultimate Peter Parker is murdered. And
that was a hard comic to read.
Yeah, and it shows Miles crawling on the side of Peter's house, watching him die, and Peter becomes his Uncle Ben. He's like, I could have stepped in.
I do like that element, though.
And that is cool. Where it's this kid
was inspired
by Spider-Man to be a superhero, and yes, he gets his powers from Nick Fury, and or not his powers, his suit from
He's
Nick
just
Fury.
like, you're a superhero now. Like,
and
okay.
it is cool because his uncle finds out that like he's Spider-Man and tries to blackmail him. And it's interesting because again he's younger than Peter, so it's like it's an even younger kid trying to figure out how to be a superhero.
And the Ultimate Universe is not a kid-friendly world to live in.
No, and that's also where eventually you have Ultimate Scorpion.
Isn't that the one where whoever Ant-Man / Giant Man was at the time, after his I think it was after Janet dies, he's like, sorry, I was an abusive alcoholic guy, and the Blob ate him, and so he goes in and he gets giant, he just eats the Blob.
I don't remember that. I tried to avoid that stuff.
He's walking through the ocean trying to get to this island off the coast of wherever they are, and he just sees the Blob after what he did. He's like, hey Blob, and he just bites him in half. I was this is a weird comic.
Yeah, again, the latter days of the Ultimate Universe aren't as great. For me, Ultimate Spider-Man is the best thing about the Ultimate Universe. Ultimates, it's okay depending on who you ask. It was written by Mark Millar right after 9/11, so he had a lot of political things to say.
The whole world was sort of I don't know how to feel.
So he's like, I'm going to shove all my feelings into the Ultimate version of Avengers.
I really liked their Captain America.
Yeah.
Their Thor was interesting.
Yeah, aspects of it is interesting. Again, the big thing is that you will have to deal with some dated politics. So
it happens.
For the comic, it does work. It's just, I don't know. People have described it this way, and I can see it. People find it a little bit more mean-spirited than the rest of the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
Ultimate X-Men, I read some of. That wasn't bad.
Yeah, I remember that.
Again, a lot of it's very edgy.
The designs are very of the era, too.
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man avoided that because the design is hard to mess up.
And Bendis...
The eyes are really good, too.
Yeah. Oh, Mark Bagley... He and Bendis, I still think, have the longest record for the longest comic writer-artist duo.
Really?
Because they did 118 issues.
I would have thought that Snyder and Capullo were trying to go for that. Because for a while they were trying to
but they only did 52 straight issues together. These guys.
I guess their stuff was just so big that I just always thought they did more than they did.
It feels like they did.
They really sort of reset a lot of Batman and laid the foundation.
They were the reason the New 52 was good.
Yeah.
Any aspect of it was. That and Aquaman, in my opinion.
Anyway, as we close out, a reminder, we have our own Elseworld story that we covered. It's set in Gotham City. I'm several voices. Adam is several voices. He's Batman. So he gets to go to the grave telling people that he's Batman, and he can actually say it with more precedence than I think most people who just say it for fun. Well, I'm sorry, I'm on an audio drama and YouTube videos
I can send you the link.
I have the footy pajamas to prove it. Which, if you think about it, that's pretty much all it takes to be Batman.
Right.
There's training, there's being in shape, there's money, but at the end of the day, you put the suit on, you're kind of a Batman. Anyway, so it's called A Cold Night in Gotham. It's going to be coming up soon. You can read it on our website, jibjab.video.blog. I believe I said that right. If not, you'll just go to a weird website. And our next episode is going to cover the X-Men Super Orgy. So get ready for some weirdness. I have only the vaguest passing knowledge, and Adam is going to be my Sherpa through the strangeness.
Oh, wait until you...
It's either going to be really clever or very horny. Maybe a little bit of both.
It's both.
I'm excited. I know at one point that Jean Grey is like, Scott, we need to make more X-Men. Let's go get Logan some beer. And stuff like that. It's come to my room.
Later on in the series, 2 islands literally have sex.
Wow, okay. Yeah. That was so bizarre. My brain hiccuped trying to make fun of it.
The thing is as bizarre it is without... I'll get into this more next episode. It works. That's all I have to say.
It takes stones to make 2 islands bone. I hope you had a good time listening to the podcast, and I apologize for all the comic books you've now been influenced to go buy and read.
Yeah, we apologize
I know that
to your
I'm
wallets.
about to go blow about $20 more on comic books now. Anyway, we'll see you for however long it takes you to watch the next episode. For us, it's going to probably be a lot shorter. Bye!